Okay, welcome to another episode of Show Me The Firo, where we're joined by Eric and Nicholas from Cruxpool. Eric, if you want to go first and just introduce yourself and tell us what you do, and then we'll go to Nicholas.
Well, first, thanks for inviting us. Very kind of you guys. My name is Eric. I'm CMO at Ethereum, which is responsible for Cruxpool mining pool.
Hi, my name is Nicholas, and I am technical project manager at Cruxpool, and I was in charge of the Firo mining pool.
I spoke to Ruben like a few days ago prior to the show, and I just was telling him that I was kind of impressed because I believe at the moment Cruxpool's offering zero fees for Firo. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep, indeed.
I was particularly impressed by that because obviously you're taking a hit. And I think what we'd want to know also is about this, how PPS works and FPPS, because I do believe you're currently taking a risk in terms of offering that service, because traditionally it's quite an expensive service, right? So if you'd like to talk a little bit more about that and why miners on other pools, like 2Miners, for instance, them especially, may want to switch over to Cruxpool.
Maybe it's good for them to also introduce a bit about Ilium and Cruxpool, because I think they've had some history. It would be good to learn, how long their pool has been around and how they got into the mining space. I think that would be a good space to start first, maybe.
Okay. A lot of things to say then.
Long question.
Long question, but probably long answer that we'll share with Nicholas maybe. But yeah, indeed. So maybe starting by explaining Cruxpool, why Cruxpool started in 2017. So it's quite a young pool, let's say, because before that we were more into mining. Actually, I wasn't even in the project at that time. I joined in 2019. When the mining pool first really started with the Ethereum pool, which was the first coin we started with. Yes, indeed, now we've grown into a nice group of 20-ish people working on the pool. Yeah, the idea of the PPS pool is really simple, is that for us it was really important that anybody with, let's say, a small budget and 1 card, 2 cards, for example, to start mining, start understanding, like we all did, trying to do a little bit of maintenance, trying to understand how does it work, what's that problem, why my card is burning, etc., etc., and be able at the same time to have something kind of predictable. To know that for even if the pool doesn't find any blocks, you'll still have your shares paid. So that means it's not useless, letting your card turning and working, so that you can still make some benefits while learning and understanding, getting more and more into crypto mining. And obviously the idea was that a miner that we are able to guide through the first steps will hopefully become a bigger miner and stay with us, because it's just like the way we approached mining, and that's really what we wanted to create. And indeed, like you said, it's kind of a risk for a pool, especially when you're a small pool, because we are paying for the shares even if we don't have blocks, which means that if we have like a huge bad luck on blocks, we're keeping paying for the miners, and yeah, we need some blocks at some point. So that's the whole thing. So that's the whole idea behind the PPS, because we really want everybody to have the opportunity to make something while supporting all the blockchains, basically.
The most other pools use PPLNS, which is like pay per last N share. And a lot of people, even they don't know the difference between PPS and PPLNS. Obviously, for a smaller pool with Cruxpool, it means that all the risk is on the pool, right? So actually, early in Firo's history, when we were still Zcoin, there was a pool called F2 pool, one of the largest pool. and they were the only PPS pool, and they charged a higher fee for that. I think it was 2%. And still 80 to 90% of the hash rate decided to mine that because of the PPS. So it's interesting to see, now that obviously Cruxpool, I don't know how you guys are making a profit. You probably aren't. I think it's more of a long-term investment thing. But I guess from our point of view, we welcome pools that are, willing to long-term invest into our Firo's ecosystem. And I was really curious to ask us, you don't support that many coins, maybe like eight coins altogether. And Firo is a recent addition. And I was wondering, how do you guys pick us? Even especially with our recent change in tokenomics that was not so in favor of miners. So wanted to hear your thoughts on that and, why you decided to support the Firo community.
Yeah, sure. So like you said, first thing is there's a bit of a paradox, I guess, because in my mind, the bigger pool, the biggest even, should be the one using PPS because they can take the risks. They can allow, to have bad luck rounds and stuff like that, while the smaller pool should be the one using PPLNS to make sure they don't go broke after a few days of existence. But that's the take, the shot we took, and indeed, in terms of benefits for the company, it happens mostly on Ethereum because of the transaction fees and the MEV that helps us having something substantial. Maybe tomorrow it will be on another coin after the merge, and so that's why we have to keep adding coins at the just because there are coins that we believe can do something, can make a difference when Ethereum goes proof of stake. So that's our mindset. And Firo, actually, we first started to talk about Firo. It was last November, if I remember correctly, or even before. So before the change in tokenomics and stuff like that. Yeah, indeed, at the time we were really interested in having some privacy coin because it kind of mattered a lot for most of us at Cruxpool, and we knew that it was some kind of a concern for the majority of the community, and it's all about what crypto is to me. Of course, it's my own opinion, but that everyone should have kind of a complete control about what they own, and that's what it is all about to me. And that's why we came across the Firo project, and we started to follow it, trying to understand how we could make it work on Cruxpool. It took a little bit of time because all the projects came in the way, let's say that. But in the end, we have it, and even if with the change of tokenomics, we still believe that we could do something interesting with that because some miners on our community asked for it, so we kind of take pride, in listening to our community, and since it kept being mentioned, we had to, just let's go. People want it, so let's go. And since the project is hybrid with the masternodes, we thought maybe there is something deeper to work on after that. So that's all the reason why we kind of said let's support that mainly. Also, we saw that there was some kind of problem with let's say decentralization. All the hash rates into one pool. So it made sense for us to say, maybe we should add an opportunity for miners to say who are concerned about that, say, okay, maybe I can migrate my a part of my hash rate to another pool, so that will, it's a way of supporting the blockchain, I guess, and the project.
I also just wanted to add, just for the miners that are watching, that essentially what this FPPS means for you is when you mine, you're guaranteed predictable payouts. You don't have to wait till a block is hit. According to your hash rate, you get paid out no matter what, and the pool, Cruxpool themselves, are actually taking that risk, and they're just hoping that they can essentially solve enough blocks so that they don't lose money. And over a long period of time, that should average out, and that should be the case. But for the short term, they definitely take that risk. Obviously, what I'm hoping, and I'm sure what they're hoping, is that miners that are currently on two miners, because obviously we have that centralization issue, that the ones that care about the ecosystem will switch over, because there won't be a financial penalty for doing so. It's not like they're going to have inconsistent payouts or anything like that. They can just switch over to Cruxpool and essentially be just where they were on two miners. And that's just really what I wanted to emphasize.
Yeah, it's actually one of the things that kind of like concern me is that one of the reasons why the miners actually got slashed was, they didn't really respond to our call out when we were discussing to the community the decentralized hash rate. And some said, well, because two miners was the most profitable, it didn't make sense. Because they say, we're already taking a hit by choosing the mine Firo instead of Ethereum, because at most times Ethereum is more beneficial. Why should I then go to a smaller pool and then take an additional hit, because two miners are obviously having a very consistent block rate, right? Now, obviously with Cruxpool coming in, that argument is kind of moot, right? Because I think you have stratums in different regions. Maybe Nicholas can talk a bit about the different locations that you have that reduce latency, and it's 0% PPS, right? So you get paid for every share that you do. So miners really don't have a reason to say, oh yeah, I'm earning less by choosing Cruxpool, because you're getting paid for every single share that you have. So I hope miners wake up, because I really want proof of work to be part of Firo, especially as a privacy coin. I think this kind of like permissionless nature to get coins is a very important part of being a privacy coin. But at the same time, obviously, I would also like to hear both your thoughts, like this shift. I actually started as a miner myself. I built ASICs myself. I mine Bitcoin, even got some of the really early Dash ASICs, did GPU mining and all of that. But it was much more involved, and it was like, I wanted to get involved in this project. Well, it seems like at least the miners that we have currently is all about profit, what gives me the most. Maybe now they changed tune with Ethereum going into proof of stake, but at the same time, F proof of work, I don't know what's going on. Why don't you support Ethereum Classic or something like that, right? But I guess, okay, I talked a lot, but I want to maybe let Nicholas talk a bit about the stratums in, I guess, in the different locations, and yeah, I want to share a bit about that.
Yeah, thank you. As you said, we have a PPS plus model, so the hash rate of the pool is not determinant in the number of blocks we find and the remuneration of the miners. To reduce the latency, we propose three locations for our mining pools. One in US, one in Europe, and one in Asia. So we have the world covered, and yes, that's it.
As just has been mentioned regarding the merge with Ethereum 2.0, and I'm just wondering, obviously you run a pool and you're in a unique position to like kind of give your opinions on what the challenges are going to be, both the short term and long term, and what opportunities there are short term and long term. And what would you like to see miners do, because there's still some time before the merge? What actions would you like to see them take before the merge to try and maybe lessen any challenges? Eric?
Well, first of all, something that you mentioned, Ruben, before, about the miners not maybe thinking about anything more than just pure profitability, which I can understand, because you put money, you put time, you put efforts, you put dedication into this, and of course I can understand that you need the rewards after that. But sometimes to me it's really like people are fighting for the 0.001% more here or there, while it's kind of a problem for me in terms of decentralization and all about, just supporting the project, just loving the effort the guys are putting into a project, into a blockchain, into any kind of system. You should also be mining to support that as well. And that's why I can understand that, you kind of feel sometimes helpless. Like, I don't know, I'm doing everything I can to support that. But at the same time, as a mining pool, I have to respect that wish. So that's why Firo on Cruxpool at 0, because 2 miners on 0. So basically, we just want to say, hey, let's just support decentralization for once. You will have the same thing. You just have to move your rigs, basically. Now, concerning the Ethereum merge, so I wish I could see the future, but I can't. So I'm just only going to speculate, but I'm eager to see what's going to happen. I don't know if it will be a smooth transition or not. And right now, when you go on Reddit, on Twitter, or Discord, or anything like that, I've seen everything. Any prediction, every predictions, every guess, everything is here. Anybody someday will say, let's go to Ethereum Classic. Then they will say, no, let's fork Ethereum to Ethereum Proof of Work. Maybe tomorrow there's going something different will be there. But the one thing I can say is that I wish for the miners to make a statement about proof of work and to clearly say we like proof of work, we like the way it is, we want to continue doing things like that because it gives, mining with a GPU is just accessible to most people, I would say. I'm not going to say anybody because you have the price of acquisition, of course, but the vast majority of people can participate, and that's, it's priceless. It's priceless to me. Whereas proof of stake maybe not the same, that's not the same way. So, but again, it's my opinion. It's just worth that. So,
one thing that has been brought up recently is we've had some YouTubers, after we've had the hard fork and stuff, and they've been complaining about how we've screwed the miners and etc. And the miners provide a service, which is true. But the issue at the time, when we were 51% attacked, is we had miners come onto the chat and say, "Oh, you're being attacked. Should I shut off my miner because I don't want to miss out on rewards?" Now, I'm not sure. I can't quantify just how many miners that was, but that's like a bank hiring a security guard and then just walking off the job like during an attack. Obviously, in the beginning of crypto, proof of work was pretty much the only service provider, if you think about it in terms of like a business. Obviously now with Ethereum and a few other projects right now, that's not the case because you do have proof of stake, etc. And I've been thinking about this a lot, like how can you, because obviously there are some altruistic miners, but for the majority, they have to turn a profit, and that's the most important thing, right? So how do you provide incentives for them to do that? And I look at 2 miners, and I look at how they've reduced the fee to 0 and really incentivize the centralization of hash rate onto their pool, particularly for Firo. And really what they're doing is they're damaging the mining ecosystem. And like people, miners were mad at Firo for the hard fork.
Nobody owes you shit. Let's make that clear. This is a service.
But really, they should have been mad at 2 miners for not increasing their fees in order to incentivize the decentralization of hash rate, because that was the major.
We had actually requested.
Yeah, Ruben had requested that. So looking at this, is what I see is the mining industry is like caught in a pincer movement, like a catch-22. Whereas if the mining pool tries to make mining more attractive for individual projects, so let's say you have you have to be mining the chain for a certain period of time, you can't just walk off the job and then you get paid, right? If you add those constraints to make mining more attractive, then guess what? Miners are not going to join your pool. They're going to join some other pool, right? So it's kind of like the only way I see that mining could be improved upon and strengthened, and really to make it more attractive for the other projects, so they're not looking to go like proof of stake and things, is there needs to be some coordination with the mining pools themselves, where they come to an agreement, a little bit like OPEC, you know, when they agree not to like just pump a load of oil out into the market to dump price. Essentially, like, the mining pools need to get together and obviously like agree to some kind of minimum code where they actually improve the entire industry, and not any single pool is going to get penalized. If one pool tries to make a move to make themselves more attractive for any given proof of work or coin, if the other pools don't follow, then that pool's going to lose out, and then mining's going to be stuck, and you're going to have situations like where we did, where we looked at really what the miners were providing, and it wasn't worth that kind of block reward, because proof of work is expensive when you, for a project, in terms of inflation, right? It's not a cheap form of security. I do like it though. That's the thing. I do like it, particularly like when we had a recent price increase and we just see like the massive increase in hash rate. It adds like, if there's going to be an attack, it adds like another unknowable for the attacker. They don't know how much hash rate they're going to need if they're trying to acquire coins to take out the nodes or something like that, right? Because the hash rate can just go exponential at any given moment. And the main thing that I really want, like why miners and pools should think about this and take action as soon as possible, is because of the merge, right? Because guess what? This is, for the miner, the average miner sitting watching this, when the merge happens, it's like the equivalent of 3 or 4 halvings. Whatever coin you're mining right now, imagine 3 or 4 halvings overnight. That's the reward you're going to get now, until miners dump, you know, turn off their machines and walk away, and you're left with like the Highlander, the very few remaining, right? That is what it is. So I'm not sure, Eric, if you want to, or Ruben, if you want to like talk about that.
I want to add something just before Eric or Nicholas answers this. I mean, this is very timely. I mean, just recently we saw the first case of selfish mining happening on Ethereum, right? I think this was just published on like maybe 3 days ago. There's a new paper that showed that F2 pool was manipulating the timestamps to get like some unfair benefit, right? Here's another case of like, you know, miners being basically dicks, right? And then you have Matt Corallo, who is Bitcoin maxi and obviously a big proof of work proponent. He actually recently posted just earlier today, and he actually said like, look, the narrative wars are coming, arguably are already here, with Ethereum finally moving the proof of stake. You know, people heard only heard about how proof of stake wouldn't work from Bitcoiners, with even less reason to care about what Bitcoiners have to say, because, you know, this argument of proof of stake won't work is kind of old already, and, you know, it's a bit hard for an average Joe to say, oh yeah, it doesn't work, right? And, you know, now it's so much easier to just say like, oh yeah, you know, proof of work is bad for the environment and all of that, which is also not completely true. And the other camp's like, oh yeah, proof of work is great for the environment, which is also not true. You know, the real truth is somewhere in between, right? And I was just like very curious, like, you know, where do you see the mining ecosystem going, right? It seems to be more of a problem with GPU miners specifically, not so much the ASIC miners and whatnot, which are in a way a form of proof of stake, because when they buy a Bitcoin miner, all you can mine is Bitcoin, right? You already invested into the ecosystem. But GPU miners, it's the trade-off, right? You have accessibility, but at the same time, you're not creating loyalty. So this is a really tough decision for a project like ours, because we honestly, I think we are one of the few projects, you know, despite the recent tokenomics, just throughout the history up to that point, we were one of the guys that spent so much time trying to get, you know, decentralization with proof of work. You know, we even came out with our own mining algorithm, you know, went through academic, and that algorithm fell down. We had to spend so much time to fix it and money. And at the end of the day, we say, oh, wow, you know, ProcPow kind of solves all of this. And when we implemented ProcPow to make sure that GPUs are the only citizens in our mining community, the mining community came back and said, this algorithm runs too hot. I prefer to run some other algorithms. So I was very curious, like, you know, where do you see do you think this is a GPU mining problem particularly, and what does the future hold? I mean, obviously it's all speculation, and I know you touched a bit about that, but we are seeing some unhealthy thing, and I'm not alone. We are not the only project that is experiencing similar stuff. I wouldn't name them because they didn't want to anger their miners, but many of them are having the same problems as we are. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you said maybe it's a GPU problem. I would say it's a human problem because, you can see that on any other types of economies or projects when, you favor one day A because it's just better for you, and then B because the offer is just more juicy or anything like that. That's because it's the marketer who's going to talk. But when you talk about the fees, on one pool, and someday someone says, okay, it's 1%, and then it's 0.5, and then it's just nothing. It's the same mechanism as the price war. And everybody should know that in a price war, nobody is winning in the end, and no company is going to win anything. The advantage that some of our competitors have, because they are bigger, is that they make money. That's sure. That's one thing that is sure. But they, create by saying every day, we are the most profitable, you're going to win 0.005% more than here and there. It just, builds the idea that all of this is all about the money. Then you add all the influencers, all the campaigns, all, media. He became rich in 3 days, buying this and that. He became a millionaire at 16 because he started mining X or Y. And, I think it kind of creates a culture of I have to make money quick, and I think that's the problem here. And I'm not going to blame the miners, let's call them the new wave of miners. I don't want to blame them because, for some people, maybe it's an opportunity for them to just have a better life. So I'm not going to blame them for that. And we have to understand that. But at the same time, for the project makers like you guys, like Cruxpool, what we do, sometimes I can understand you feel like, wow, would appreciate some positive feedback and some loyalty. And it's going to be, I think, a very, very, very difficult task for all of us to create a new model for people to say, hey, I'd like to spend time with these guys, I like what they do, and at the same time, I'm getting some rewards. But problem here for me today is the culture of profits, immediate profits, and that, I just don't like that.
But yeah, it's a very human issue. It's just that this is why I thought there needed to be some coordination between the pools themselves, so that you could make a move in concert for the benefit of the ecosystem without really putting another pool at a disadvantage. The question is whether or not these big pools will put the ecosystem above their own individual profit, at least short term, for the long term profit, really.
All the pools are losing money now. It doesn't make sense because like 2 miners is at 0%. What are they earning? Cruxpool is earning 2%. They're also losing money because there's infrastructure costs, right? Everyone's just like eating each other, hoping that you can outlast the other. So when they shut down, they can up the fees again, which is quite sad. Yeah.
For the big pools, the people that you think would have like a long-term horizon in terms of their outlook in what they should be doing, how they should be conducting themselves, and how they should be, I guess, nourishing the ecosystem, you'd think they'd already come to that like realization. And some pools do, I do believe. For instance, on other projects, I believe Monero has quite a good altruistic terms of mining community that will like move hash rate. And really that's what I think both Firo and numerous other GPU mining coins, they kind of lack. I think you have a culture also of convenience in terms of you go on to what to mine every day and what coin is good today, right? I'll switch over. And I think that's a lot to do with it. But I've also seen comments like on YouTube, like there's been like, it's only a small minority, which is sad, but you have a very small minority that are saying, oh, what I've been doing with my Ethereum rewards is buying other coins so I can increase the market cap of these other coins. So when the merge happens, it's not such a big hash shock, because people are calling it a hash migration. Well, really, it's actually a hash starvation, because guess what? There's not enough market cap in these other coins to really pay and really feed the miners that are currently mining. The terms of the hash rate that Ethereum has compared to the rest of the market is just insane. And if you think the other coins right now can support you as a miner, guess what? They can't. Most of you, 90%, are going to have to at least take a break. And one of two things is going to happen: is if the market cap of these coins, these other alternative coins, is going to have to increase, or there's going to have to be way less miners. So it's going to be in my opinion at least, it's going to be, let's say, a turbulent time. And I don't know, if I was a mining pool operator, like a big mining pool operator, I probably wouldn't be trying to, well, I would look to please the remaining proof of work coins that are supportive of the whole proof of work ecosystem, right? I wouldn't try to like, oh, I'm going to zero fee you and basically add to the problem which led to the hard fork and the reduction of miners' fees to begin with. I mean, that is all, in my opinion, again, this is almost a hostile act. It's completely counter to the whole philosophy of what cryptocurrency is supposed to be, right? What its original promise was. If you're just going to try and centralize hash rate on a single pool that you have to rely on to be a good actor. I mean, to be a good actor, really, you would increase your fees to decentralize the hash rate. That's what a good actor would do. But
Well, one thing I would probably, maybe we should ask as like the project, the developers or the stewards of the project, is that you guys are the miners, the mining pools. How do you think we can attract miners or build a more engaged mining community? Like, what can we do from the project side rather than what can miners do for us? Maybe we should be also asking what can we do for the miners, right? Okay, let's not talk about not slashing them. Obviously, that's the obvious one. But what else, right? Yeah.
First thing, yeah, I mean, if we really all were concerned about decentralization, I mean, in terms of mining pool, we should cap the maximum hash rate you can, have, or something like that. You should, okay, I have like 30%. Maybe I should, I don't know, give incentives, or help other pools, to welcome miners. But that's not the case, and my take is that it's never going to happen. I'm not going to give any names of pools, of course, but some of the players in this industry, they just want to watch their wallet grow. That's all they care about, honestly. I've seen them, I've been talking with them somehow, and sometimes, I just feel like maybe it's also one part of the problem with the miners, because if the pool is greedy and only is all about accumulating, maybe that's why their miners are thinking about that too. So I can understand, and like I said, it's also a problem with culture. It's all about culture to me, to just know, if you keep repeating every day it's all about profits, then guess what? Miners are going to talk about anything but projects and stuff like that, only profits. But the thing is that now it's difficult because after the merge, like you said, I guess there will be some kind of, let's call that crypto winter or mining winter. I don't know, but yeah, it's not going to match the profit and the rewards for the miners. So like you said, many people will be selling their GPUs. I've already started to see that on Facebook groups, on Reddit, selling all the time. I don't know if people who are buying are already, big players, and maybe we'll see another type of centralization, like very big, massive farms in GPUs. Because they've been buying all the second-hand GPUs they could find, and maybe that will be another problem. So it's hard to guess, what's going to happen. But I think our role as project and pools and it's to educate as much as we can. And I know that's hard, but stuff you do like that, creating some content, explaining the reasons why you're doing this, and how to improve, how to create better outcomes for the people who support the project. I think it's important. And we mentioned at the beginning of the interview, like some miners don't know the difference between PPS and PPLNS, and I think that some people just don't understand a lot of things, and we have to be there to help them. Some people are very experts in mining because they've been doing this for years and years and years, and I think I don't question their loyalty, these guys. I don't think I question the loyalty of these guys. But the newcomers, we have to help them as much as we can, create content, explain again and again. And that maybe will be a part of the solution.
Yeah, this is, this is kind of why we're having this interview in the first place, right? I mean, it's not just to promote Cruxpool. We want to, we want to hear from you guys. We want to promote miners, educate them. Perhaps, although of course I know the answer, maybe, because like what two miners were saying, like, why are you bothered with a miner that has 80% of the hash rate? We are good actors, doesn't, there's no incentive for us to be dishonest because, we're such a well-established pool. Maybe like you guys can explain why this is a bad thing. What can they do if this situation continues? Maybe Nicholas can also weigh in, because this may be, I guess, like slightly technical as well. Yeah.
If a mining pool has a lot of the hash rate, they can manipulate the blocks and the reward, the transaction as they want. So yes, they can collapse all the ecosystem, the coin. Yeah, it could be catastrophic.
Yeah.
If the mining pool is malicious.
Could you like give an example of like how they could manipulate?
They could double spend the coin. They could reorganize the chain. They could make everything possible.
Yeah, basically, I mean, in pure proof of work chains, they have control of the chain, right? And of course, we have a hybrid system, which makes that harder to do. Means that you both have to compromise the masternodes and the mining pool. But it's like, well, the mining pool is supposed to be this second layer of security, and masternodes do sometimes go down. Like, especially, it's another form of centralization, but many masternodes are hosted in VPS data centers. And if there's an outage with DigitalOcean or something like that, large portions of the masternode can come down. And what you'll be protected by then would be just pure proof of work, right? And you really, as much as a good actor, we trust them. The whole point of blockchain is that we don't have to trust, right? And that's why I really hope, like, you guys, I've been mining on your pool. Everything's so smooth, rewards are consistent. There's a lot of nice monitoring tools. I wish there was a Telegram bot. That would be cool. But
incoming,
cool.
Soon.
So yeah, I'm really happy. I try to support all the other pools like Mint Pond, Woolly Pooly, Cruxpool, all the smaller pools, and a lot of them have given a lot to support the project. And I really hope the miners see that. And honestly, like, the service that you guys provide is on par, if not better than two miners. You have your different location stratums, you have all the reporting, and you have 0% PBS, which actually is kind of better than PPLNS. So I hope miners see that and shift some of their hash rate to your side.
Eric or Nicholas, is there anything that you want the community, the Firo community in particular, anything we could do to try and aid the transition from two miners to Cruxpool? Is there any, like, I guess, just small things maybe we can do?
No, Honestly, I think the best tool is just word of mouth, and um, if the community has any questions, in any case, we're here on Discord, Telegram, on even still on Facebook and on Twitter. So if you guys have questions, if you guys want to know more about how does the PPS work, what's our current philosophy, what's our vision for the pool, they can just ask, and we'll be really glad to help. And we take pride in that. We are really active on these communities such as Telegram, Discord, because we just enjoy basically talking with guys like that. So it's always nice to have this kind of experience and have some feedback to get better, keep getting better, and try to compete and provide more tools. And by doing so, I think we could have some spots in this landscape. I'm not saying that we are going to transform how the mining pool is going to be constructed, but we have some ideas right now for the future miners after the merge, and it has a lot to go with proof of stake and staking. So we're going to create some kind of a ecosystem. Let's call that an ecosystem that will help transferring what you have in mining directly into the projects you want to support who are in proof of stake, for example. When you have hybrid and stuff like that, and by mechanism of swaps, you could also support all the projects. So that's not out right now, and by rule, I think I can't talk too much about that, but in any case, that's something we're really eager, to see coming on the pool. But in any case, for the community, just ask. We'll be there, and we'll be ready to answer.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Eric. Nice to meet you, and Nicholas, nice to meet you too. And thanks again for the OG Ruben for joining us also.
Thanks for the invite.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.